Hi, I'm Dr. Cameron, the Story Doctor, and welcome to the Story Doctor Studio. I'm going to give you some super quick tips all about sketching. I like to start any drawing using 3 words starting with the letter L, and they are light, loose, and large. By drawing lightly means you can erase any mistakes at the end, nice sweeping motions. By keeping it loose means that all your lines are connected, everything looks a little bit more natural, and by drawing as large as possible means that you can see your mistakes and also those little details that you need to draw later on. Imagine you're going to draw a stegosaurus, a bit like this one here. A lot of people would want to start by drawing all of the outline first. By the time they get round to the other side, they'll notice that a lot of things don't quite look right. What I like to do instead is to start with the shapes. And you can see with this little skeleton here, humans, animals, anything are based up on a number of different shapes. And so what we want to do when we're drawing is to start with the shapes first and then add the details later. A bit like building a house. Rather than trying to put the roof or the walls on first, things like the frame go up and then all the other details are added later. So rather than trying to draw the outline, start with some very basic shapes. Proportions are the relationships between different shapes in a drawing. For example, a face. If you're drawing a face, a lot of people presume that the eyes are going to be towards the top. In fact, they're about halfway down. If you think about where the shapes go and the size in relation to other shapes, you can get a more balanced picture. The nose would be in here, maybe a very simple mouth, eyebrows, eyes, and some hair like that. One thing to notice when you're drawing faces as well is that each side isn't perfectly symmetrical. Even though they're in proportion, if you try to mirror one side to the other, your picture will look a little bit false. Imagine drawing a simple picture of a horse like this one over here. Overall, it looks okay, but there's something wrong. If you look at it carefully, you can see that although the legs, the front legs, the back legs, and the face look okay, there's a huge big space in the middle here, which looks a little bit longer. To see these things, we often don't look at the shapes themselves, we look at the shapes around the actual shapes in the legs. We call this a negative space. So this space here, if we look carefully, we realise that that one there needs to be shortened in order to get a more correct picture. So next time you're drawing, if there's something that doesn't look okay, think about not just the inside shapes, but also the outside shapes, called the negative space. To get better at drawing requires looking and practice. And one of the best ways to improve your drawing is to look at things from life, rather than relying on what's in your head. The more ideas you can put into your mind, the better your drawings will become, and the more ideas you'll have to use in the drawing process. You can do this by looking at real objects, you can do this by looking at yourself in a mirror, by looking at photographs, looking at other people and other characters. But the more ideas that you can put into your head, thinking of your mind like a blender, the better your wonderful recipes or your artworks that will be created afterwards. Some of the trickiest things to draw are faces and hands. And one of the best ways to see how different facial expressions change and how different hands, I guess, have their own expressions as well, is to use a mirror like this one over here. I like to put this in front of me when I'm drawing. I get to pull different expressions with my face. I move my hand around different angles, and that really helps when I'm drawing and creating. This is a mannequin. I'm not sure if you've seen these before, but they're really handy to see how a body will move around in a drawing. One of the most important parts about using a mannequin is to think about the joints, the elbows and the knees and the hips and the neck. We're limited in how we can actually move as humans, also animals are similar too in the way they move, and by understanding where the joints are and thinking about the different sections where the bends are, it means our drawings can be a lot more natural and realistic looking. If you want to check a finished picture to see if it looks correct, there are a few things that you can do. I'll tell you 3 of those now. Here's a finished drawing you can see as an example. The first thing is to stand away from your drawing. So rather than looking at it really closely, move back and you get the overall idea of the shape rather than just the details. The second thing is to flip it upside down, put it into reverse. And this helps you to see some of the proportions from a slightly different perspective. The third thing you can do is to use a mirror. And so you can put your image against the mirror and have a look at how it looks in reverse. And that will help to show you anything that is incorrect. So once you've finished your sketching, what you can do is go around your picture with an outline. This helps to make things really clear, and it means you can then erase anything you don't want. Quite simple. Whatever you're using, a pen or a pencil, work around your lines, make it nice and clear, nice steady hand, and suddenly things are a lot clearer for the viewer. And there you go, a simple outline. When you're drawing, sometimes you'll notice that your hand starts to smudge the work that you've been creating. One thing you can do is use a scrap piece of paper underneath your hand to protect your drawing. That means you can still do nice curving, sweeping motions with your hand without spreading any of your pencil or the charcoal or whatever you've used underneath it. At the end, of course, you can use an eraser to clean up everything else, but it stops all the grease and other parts of, if you've been eating, for example, spreading over your drawing as well. One way to get a really good drawing is to make sure you have a comfortable working space. This means having good natural light or artificial light so your eyes don't get too sore. It also means being at a desk where your elbows are actually above the desk. There's no point in drawing if your desk is really high and your elbows are down like this because you can't get any natural rhythm with your hands. Make sure you have a comfortable chair. If you're going to be sitting there for a long time, it's important that you can look after your spine and your posture as well. And the more relaxed you can be when you're drawing, I guess the better your pictures will look in the end as well.